was Provia's first name? Sears was one of our first large customers.
Okay.
First, the original name of the company was called Precision Entry. When I started with them in '95, it was Precision. So it went from Precision Door and Glass to Precision Entry. We asked our customers, describe the name. 1977, Provia started. It started actually from a Mennonite minister home builder. And his name is Bill Mullet, and Bill sold the company to his 4 kids. It's been about 3 years now, so that we're on 2nd generation. We do have 3rd generation already working in the factory. They follow the biblical philosophy also on how you do things with money and everything else. We're debt free, guys. Everything that we do, we pay cash. And that's the biblical philosophy. This year, we're adding another 500,000 square feet in one facility and 225,000 another. All the equipment to go in it, that's millions. We pay cash. Okay. What's that tell you? The warranties that I'm going to tell you about today, we're good for. And that is another good reason why Renewal and Anderson, why they do business with Provia. I handle your account nationally. I'm thinking about 108 locations. So tell me what you know about the Steele door. See if Todd told you this.
20 gauge.
20 gauge.
A lot thicker than your average 24 gauge.
Yeah. Yeah, how much thicker?
Significantly.
49%.
Oh.
49% more than a 24. Did he tell you it was the only crack house approved door on the market today? Get for the extra 3 flushes to get the drugs down the toilet before the cops get in, right? And I want to go through the details of the PowerPoint because your training manual, also, keep notes. Your training manual follows along with the PowerPoint. Yeah, the storm doors, we bought that company, and it started in 1942. And they started with redwood, storm doors and storm windows. Why? You have a clue? In 1942, why you'd start with redwood?
I mean, it's like the densest wood, isn't it?
It is. It's going to hold up the best, but why did they start with wood?
Shortage for World War II.
Yeah.
You got it. All the metal was going to the military. So until the war was over, it was well after a year before it was over, before they started producing aluminum at that point in time. And we went into aluminum storm doors. That was Alsco aluminum. All right, so this is just a little bit of nomenclature, parts and pieces, and how it goes together in case you've never installed a door. So we're going to start with the home with a rough opening, okay? The rough opening is where that door is going to fit into. When you're measuring a door, you can't see the rough opening. So it's why you got to measure the inside of the frame of the door, because the frame is 3/4 of an inch on both sides. So if you measure the inside of the opening of the door and add 1.5 inches to that, you're going to have a gap on both sides of that, typically about 1/2 inch. So you'll have a real good idea what that rough opening is too. So you don't have to take off that trim. All right, so you got a rough opening, you got a door frame and threshold. That's going to fit right into the rough opening. Now this all comes in one piece, the door does. We're just showing you how each piece goes in here. Then you've got an exterior brick mold, which the exterior brick mold is right here underneath the storm door. That's the brick mold. And what that's used for is to cover the gap between the door frame and the 2x4 studs that's there. So it covers that gap. All right? That's the exterior trim, basically. That's going to go on the outside, and then we're going to add hinges. What type of hinges do we have?
Steel.
What type? Steel's okay, but the magic word
Galvanized?
is ball bearing hinges.
Oh.
Yeah, so they glide, and there are 5 ball bearings immersed in oil. You can still pop your pins on the door, okay, because that ball bearing, those ball bearings are right here in this kind of shiny silver spot, and right here. So you can still pop your pin, But you shouldn't have to do any oiling of the hinge, you shouldn't hear squeaking unless your door is in a hinge bind and it's really putting a bind on the hinge itself. Okay, so the hinges go in with the hinge pins, that it gets attached to what we refer to as the slab, the door slab. In this case, it happens to be a fiberglass door. And then your interior casing, okay, goes to the inside. The interior casing on this side covers between the door frame and the 2x4 studs on the inside, okay? What do we do different about our casing? A lot of guys on the inner doors, they use 3.5, especially on the front door. It gives a little bit more of a grander appearance anyways with that wider casing on the inside. So our casing is just a little bit wider than everybody else's. It comes stained, pre-finished to match our doors. We've got 3 different types of frames. We talked about the frame going into the opening. This is the first frame. This is the frame saver. And the frame saver down at the bottom 4 inches of this door jamb is composite. That keeps water from wicking up, and you also having out a rotted frame at the bottom. In this area, you get a lot of rotted frames. Why? That white stuff out there. In the wintertime, it blows up against the doors, it sets in the jamb, temperature changes, it starts melting, it goes into the jamb, and if you don't have a composite at the bottom, you're going to have issues. What's our warranty on this frame? Lifetime if you have the jamb cladding on it, but if you don't put that on and you don't order it with it, you only get a 2-year warranty. Because we don't know what that homeowner's going to do with the rest of the jamb. Are they going to paint it? Are they going to maintain it? Are they, what's going to happen to it? So you always want to sell it with cladding, okay? How many colors of cladding do we have? 17.
With the cladding, and then what's the warranty?
With the cladding, it's lifetime. So that is the frame saver. Up top, you got a finger jointed jamb, and the finger jointed jamb, the reason for the finger joints is what they do is they'll change the direction of graining, and what it does is it keeps that jamb straighter and truer in wood. It does a much better job. That's a Ponderosa pine is what we use on that jamb, okay? If you are selling a fiberglass door, but with the fusion frame, here you can get, this is one shade off, this is a different color, that's pretty close. You can get a frame that is composite and fiberglass, okay? Not exactly like your windows, but it does have fiberglass in it, and then it's got some other PVC composite stuff in it. This looks just great. And what's the warranty on the Signet color? 15 years. Guess what? The paint warranty or stain warranty on this jamb is 15 years. Nobody can touch that out there. So it is on this side, there's a side view of it. You can see how thick that is. Then we're using on the back side an LVL, which is a very strong setup. Where do they use LVL at?
Beams.
Our patio doors.
Beams.
Doors, yeah. Our patio doors, yeah.
Yep. Underneath, between the basement and your first floor, those beams, they're usually LVL. Any place they got real high areas and they're carrying a heavy weight load, they use LVL. Very strong product. This product has only been out a year. So pay very close attention to the width of the brick mold when you're trying to fit it into an opening. Unlike this one, the frame saver, which I can adjust to any size I need. I can adjust the brick mold to fit an opening. I can take off a ½ inch on this side of the brick mold. I can add a ¼ inch on this side. I can add 3 inches in the header. I can make that thing fit anything. Right now, because this is only a year old, we don't have an adjustable brick mold. So you have to go by what size this fits into, okay? If you got a brick opening on the outside of the house, you might be pretty good with this. If it's a siding application or something, all the odds this won't fit. And I'm sure your guys don't pull off the siding and put in new J-channel to make it fit. They're just gonna install the door to the opening. They're not gonna try to alter anything else. So that's the only negative thing with this, is we don't have an adjustable brick mold yet. They're working on it. Which also means we don't have transoms for this. So you can't do a transom. It's a beautiful looking frame. You'll see a bubble level in there. The reason there's a bubble level in there, most doors when you install them, you slide them into the old opening. This brick mold holds them into place. On this one, it comes off for install. The reason we have this is the application allows us, because of that right there, how long this is, that's about a half an inch, gives you a 1/4 inch play in case the wall's out. So you can adjust this brick mold on the outside of the opening.
Nice.
Oh, for the installers, they love this. They love this. The other thing that's nice about this is this comes off for new construction. So you can leave this off while the house is being built and not have to worry about this getting damaged. If it does get damaged, guess what? You can reorder a new piece. And this just snaps back over the top of it. Same thing on the jamb. The jamb cover comes off completely. So for new construction, it's really nice. Go ahead.
Bullet points, advantages of fusion frame over frame saver.
It's going to give you the best look for a fiberglass door that you can get.
Okay.
But you gotta check your opening to make sure that it's going to fit.
Okay.
Okay? That's the only thing. Because you can't adjust that brick mold right now.
Perfect.
Okay? You can, if you got a single door with side lights, you guys know that the mullion in between the side light and the door, in between those two frames, we can actually build that out up to 5 inches per side. So you got 10 inches of play. I mean, you do a 1/4 inch if you want to, you do 5 inches. We can do that on this frame still. The only thing is, in order to do a transom and stuff, you gotta have something that you can adjust to fit the opening. Same thing with the brick mold. So it's the same part that they're trying to develop right now. So they're working on it. So, otherwise, beautiful frame. So you're gonna sell the frame saver probably 95% of the time. Okay, that's the one you need to know. This one down here, the Permatech, which I don't have with me today, I apologize. The Permatech is full composite. It has a PVC coating. You can see it right here around the edge, and it's a PVC white. That frame is white. It's paintable. We don't paint it. Or if you want to change it to a different color besides painting it, we can put the jam cladding over that frame. This is used in real high water areas. And it's used in warm temperature areas typically. You need a constant temperature because it's full composite, it will contract and expand quite a bit. Okay? If it gets installed in this area, and I have to use an example of you got a house round back, they've got an entrance for a door in the basement, a single door, they got a drain down there, the drain gets covered with leaves all the time, fills up with water, sits up on the door, perfect place for this. When your installers install it, they need to shim the heck out of it more than they do a standard door, and they need to foam it into place. You don't want that frame to move on you. But full composite, this one will take care of that situation. Okay. Might use it if you're lucky 0.5% of the time up here. Maybe once or twice a year if you're lucky. Depends on the application. Take a look at the jams, especially at the bottom. I used to carry just a little pocket knife, very thin blade, and I'd ask permission, can I check your jam? I'll stick this in here to make sure it's not rotted or anything. You can create that need that way.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you know, it worked well for me. So they didn't want you to do it. Sometimes the homeowner said, well, let me do it. And they do it. And it'd just be like slicing butter or going into a potato. You know, there's a big difference. If it's butter, it's rotted. So it comes pre-hung in a 4 9/16 frame, which 4 9/16 is a standard 2x4 wall with drywall and everything to the inside. 1950s home, older, maybe even early 60s. 5 1/4 jamb. They got plaster on the inside. They don't have drywall. That's typically 5 1/4. And then some of your newer homes are using 6 9/16 jamb because they're using 2x6s. So we'll build jambs on the frame saver, clear out. Even though in your book it says, I think it says 12 3/8. But we build it out to 20 inches. No issue. Okay. Steel oil frame. You should never ever have to use this. So determining the width of the opening of the door. You're going to measure from inside of frame to inside of frame. So the height's the same way. We've got here removable threshold, which is pretty standard. You get into the 1950s homes and older, they have a non-removable, is what we call it. I can remove every one of those. It's no big deal. When you remove them, you see right down into the basement. All right, frame depth. This one sometimes can be a little bit more trickier. On average, for what you guys will see, 90% of the time shouldn't be a problem. They call you out to a 1920s old house. Pay close attention to the frame, or have your remeasure guy just go ahead and do it. So you could even put in there that it's 8 9/16, at least cover yourself on cost. Up to 8 9/16, you're covering 90% of what's out there. So you're going to measure, and this is perfect for what we need to see. So the frame itself, as you see, is only from here to here. It doesn't include your interior trim or your exterior trim. So you're measuring from inside of frame, not including that. So flip it around, all right? I am going to be measuring from right here, don't want to include that interior trim back here, okay, to out here to the start of the brick mold. In this case, it's 4 9/16. If you've got a brick opening and you got 4 9/16, what I would do is put in there 5 inches. The reason I would do that is you're helping your installer out. Because on a brick opening, you can come out as much as you want. And what happens is if you give him an extra 1/2 inch or so, and he may even want to take it to 5 1/2 inches. But if you give him that extra 1/2 inch, he doesn't have to spend all that time cleaning up the old caulk on the outside. On brick openings, I always go a little bit wider jambs.
Can you point out again where I'm measuring from?
So,
Start of the,
yeah. So remember, we've got on the door,
yeah.
the exterior, we've got brick mold. Don't want to include that. We got interior trim. Don't want to include that. If we could see the back side of the jamb, this is what we measure.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing that. We're seeing this side. All you got to remember is don't include the brick mold, which goes right to here. That's your brick mold where that storm door is sitting. So you're going to measure from here, right here, all the way to this point here. We don't want that interior trim. Okay. The only issue that you could have is you get in those real old homes. Some of them have jambs like this, and they're pieced together in certain applications. And many times I've seen a standard 4 9/16 jamb on it, and then you've got other seams there, and it's exterior flashy trim. Then on the outside they might have a fluted material and everything. And I just measure the 4 9/16, and that's it. Because what the installers will do, they'll cut that jamb in half on both sides, pull it out, order the new door without brick mold, and they'll take the new one and install it from the inside and push it right up against the rest of that stuff so they don't have to mess with that. Sometimes when you mess with that stuff out there, it can be opening up a can of worms. Plaster walls, you'll do a lot of those. 5 1/4, you'll do a lot of those. So you walk into a 1956 Cape Cod, it's going to have plaster walls. So it'll be 5 1/4. Energy Star, since 2012, we're the only entry door company nationally that has got Energy Star Partner of the Year award every year. We only make about 950 doors a day. All right, we've talked about the frame saver a little bit. We also have mounted on the back side of the frame saver a 4 inch wide by 10 inch tall 20 gauge steel security plate. What this is for, it gets mounted on the backside of that jamb to help prevent jam kickout. Doesn't help it 100% because the installers have to install this. This is your deadbolt that goes through here. With shims above here, shims below the deadbolt and between the lock set and underneath the lock set. You need that to keep that frame from flexing. So it's got to be shimmed properly. And that prevents jam kickout.
What do you mean by that?
Prevents somebody from trying to break in. So this goes anywhere we've got a deadbolt. 20 gauge steel security plate. All right. So on the outside, lifetime warranty on the door frame with PVC coated cladding on the outside. We talked about the finger jointed PVC cladding, 13 paint colors, 2 stain colors, and then we also have a Tough X Smooth, which is in your colors. So fusion frame, we talked about the fusion frame being a composite. Again, pay attention to the opening width and height because you cannot adjust that brick mold like you can on our other frame. So it comes 4 9/16, 2 inch. We talked about the floating brick mold, a plumb indicator on it. There's factory drill holes for the frame, and we got the 4-inch frame saver on the bottom, that LVL above it. The floating brick mold, you get a full 1/4 of an inch there. Permatech, again, very small use that you're going to be selling this. Heavy water situation. Okay, so the frames, the thresholds itself. The threshold, I don't know if you guys operated it. This is a ZAC threshold. This is spring loaded underneath here. So you get a very good seal on the bottom. This will seal up very well. By the way, to replace this, if it ever goes bad, something happens to it, takes about 2 minutes to take this off. All you need is a little piece of wood to keep yourself from marring this up, piece of flat bar, screwdriver, lift up right here on the outside, it's tension held. That pops right up. If you order this by mistake and they wanted the other threshold, which is this one you can see. It'll just pop right off and it can go on this one too. You can see how it's tension held on there. See that right here? Yeah, it'll just pop off. Pass that around. Here we go so everyone can see it. We use this threshold about 90% of the time. That one about 10%.
Is that more for accessibility?
No, if accessibility like a wheelchair,
Yeah.
you want to get a handicap threshold.
Okay.
Because a handicap threshold is not supposed to be taller than 1/2 inch.
1/2 inch.
Yeah, it's a 1/2 inch. And the bad thing about a handicap threshold is they don't seal as well as these. You could have water coming through the corners. You'll see it in businesses, they got handicap thresholds and you'll see water coming through it. They're hard to seal, very difficult to seal. So those are the 2 thresholds. You can get those. This one here, the standard one, that you have out there, that's only available in the mill finish. You can't get in the bronze finish. And the adjustable, you can get in the bronze. Sweep on the bottom, it's a 2-blade with a big bulb that just interlocks with that adjustable threshold. We changed to this last year, at the beginning of last year. What a world of difference it made. I'm looking forward, we only test our doors by NFRC. I think it's every 6 or 8 years. I'm looking forward to seeing the new test data with the NFRC when we go back through. And I guarantee you it's going to help our doors tremendously. So it's a bulb and blade. It prevents air leakage, of course, makes the home more comfortable. We talked about the hinges, heavy-duty ball bearing hinges. They are a rust-resistant zinc dichromate finish. We test these up, doesn't help us here, but for the coastlines, up to 1,000 hours salt spray on these two to keep these things from rusting. No oiling required. Standard on all entry systems. Strike plate. This is for the lock set, not the deadbolt. Compression weather stripping, which, by the way, which one's better, compression or magnetic? Compression, 75% better than magnetic. So the compression will stay pliable in temperatures like we had today. The magnetic weather stripping has got a bellows on the backside of the magnet that allows you to stretch that, but it gets so hard and brittle it doesn't move, it's just frozen. So it doesn't seal well. Years ago we used to say, oh, it's just like your refrigerator door. Run your hand around your refrigerator. If it's within 10 years old, you're not gonna feel no air leakage. Why wouldn't you want anything but magnetic weather stripping on your door? That was the pitch back then. But after we did a bunch of testing, we found out that it was far different than what we thought. So we use the compression weather strip.
Yeah.
That's it. So your front door is what? Think about it. It's an appliance. It's something you use just as much as your refrigerator. Why would you want to put something cheap in there to last you 3 years? A Provia door is the last door you're going to put in your opening, not your next door. It's your last. Okay, the strike plate itself. The strike plate is only going to go, or that strike plate that's adjustable is just going to be for your lock set. So what you've got here, and this is a little bit hard to see, you've got a plate over the top. Underneath it, there's another plate. That plate is ribbed. The plate on the top has a grab bar. When you set it, it goes into those rib joints. So underneath it, you can move that over back and forth. If you have contraction, expansion in your home, your customer just easily take a Phillips, loosen up just a little bit, and move that in, tighten it down, and your door will sit tighter in the opening against that compression weather stripping. Okay? Especially if you're up in, I was in Duluth last year, and it was a 12 below that day, and the guy had a 5-foot wide fireplace. It was blazing, and he was seeing light around his door. He complained. All I did was take the strike plate, adjust it, did the door, and he said, how'd you do that? That was quick, that was easy, what'd you do? Showed him how to do it. Installers should really spend a few moments with the homeowner when they're done installing, show them how to use that adjustable strike plate. So those are solid brass. We've got them in all the finish colors, fully adjustable, 2-piece design. Interior casing, we offer 2.5, 3.5. Stained, painted, all our colors. It's in oak, it's in cherry, it's in mahogany, it's in maple. We've got it in poplar for painted, and we can do custom. If you wind up with something really crazy, we could do custom anything when it comes to woodworking. You got a piece of trim, your installer takes it off, put it on a piece of paper, take a pencil around it, and send us a picture of what that looks like. And we can match that right up for them. So that can be done by us. I wouldn't sell a job without our interior casing. I think you're doing a customer injustice, putting a beautiful
What's the
door
1
in
year
there and
and
using the
gravel
old casing.
with no gravel?
It just doesn't look good.
That's with no gravel. Yeah, you can't do 20 grand, that's 50% off.
Window
Let
trim.
me look, 39 what?
No. This is, did you have a question?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this pertaining to doors as well? Cause we got our own window stuff.
What do you mean?
We sell our own windows.
Well, no, I bet, what do you, the name of this, window trim?
I should've just kept my mouth shut.
Oh, okay, so, let me explain to you what the window trim is. That's what holds the glass in to the entry door. When we cut a hole in the entry door, it's an outside piece and an inside piece. It's called window trim, and it sandwiches the glass IG to hold it in place in the door, okay? We've got 2 different styles. We've got a plugless
Anything north of 21, but
that
21,
doesn't
44,
have
no
any
other.
plugs on it where you can see them on the inside of the door. And then we've got plug trim, which is on some odd styles that are very old.
Can tell I'm
You
just-
can get the plugless trim comes
Something about-
standard on the Signet fiberglass door. If I was you on the steel doors, anytime you see an option to add plugless trim, Guys and gals, I'm telling you,
Get that one done.
add it. Click that baby on and add it. Because you're gonna save your customer headache later of saying, well, I don't like how these plugs are sitting. One's lower than the other one, one's higher. They're very difficult on that plug trim to put those plugs in there, to make them all look good. Takes a lot of time. So when you're going through the decorative glass, down at the bottom of decorative glass, you'll have an option, if it's available in that door style, to get the plugless trim. Say you're selling a steel door because it's not standard on it, hit that sucker on. Save yourself some trouble. You're doing the customer more justice by doing it that way. So the window trim itself, it's high performance. Well, it's got a 15-year warranty on the Signet and a 10-year warranty on the Heritage and the Legacy Steel. The Heritage, of course, is our drop door, which we'll get into here in the fiberglass. So, the embark door. What do we know about the embark door? Did you guys remember the embark door at all?
2.5 inches thick.
You got it. 2.5 inches thick. The lowest U value in the United States on any entry door. It goes from 1 3/4, which was the standard. Now it's 2.5 inches thick. It's 43% thicker. Most energy efficient door in the market. 4 times more insulation value than a typical wood door, with a U factor of a 0.09. It's less than 1. Real cold area, good place to put the embark. You pull up the house, you see 2 Mercedes, 2 BMWs. I'd be starting with this in my presentation. That's somebody that likes to buy the best. Don't even start with the Signet. Matter of fact, you'll sell a Signet more than likely, because many guys that start with the Signet and drop to the Heritage sell the Heritage. So why not start with the embark so you do sell a Signet? Follow me on that? Creating that drop. So we route out some of the wood to get more insulation, to get that lower U value. It's got a 2.5 inch bottom sweep also. So you get a better thermal barrier. It's got a quad pack of glass on this door. So you get 4 panes of glass with clear. If you get decorative glass, you got 5 panes of glass. So install, the door's heavy. Especially if you got full view glass, that sucker's heavy. In order to keep that U value down, you gotta be, it goes to 1 13/16 thick of glass. So you can get low E with this. This is Krypton filled airspace. Krypton gas. Yeah, you guys know the differences between just dead airspace, argon, krypton. How do you tell your customer that? What type of analogy do you use for that?
Science.
Okay.
Krypton's the 36th on the periodic table. Argon's the 18th. Argon's a little thinner. Krypton's a little thicker, a little heavier, a little more denser, a little more efficient, but costs a lot more money as well. That's why we use argon or argon gas blend, because it's more natural. It does what it's supposed to do. It creates the efficiency you want, and it's readily available for us. It's not going to sell as much as a Krypton would. But since you're selling Krypton, and Krypton's the best glass, you put that together, helps them stabilize each other. It's a great gas option. Something like that.
Yeah, and krypton only works good on a small space. One of the best analogies that I found for explaining the differences in, where it's at on the elements chart, is for the homeowner, the average homeowner, that if you've got a dead airspace in there and there's no gas whatsoever, it's like having a pool in your backyard with no water in it, okay? And if you add argon gas, it's like filling your pool with water. You're gonna start to feel resistance, okay? And how energy transfers, and the reason you need that resistance, how energy transfers, if this is the outside and this is the inside, what happens is cold air outside, warm air inside, that starts to circulate on the inside. That's why you're trying to make that denser. So dead airspace, it's gonna circulate and get to the other side pretty darn quick, okay? If it's argon gas, it's going to work a lot slower to transfer to the other pane of glass. Now, krypton is like taking your pool and filling it full of jello. Big difference. Transfer of energy, real slow. And krypton only works in small spaces. You can't take a 7/8 IG and put krypton in it and expect it to outperform argon. It's not going to. It's got to be in a smaller space. That's why, in this case, you see on the krypton, you know, these are real small spaces. That krypton works great there on transferring energy. So I use the pool analogy.
Good.
Yeah, it's worked very well for me in the past. What you said is science without a doubt. You know, you told them that. But, you know, you take somebody like myself that's been out of school for 5 years, you know, instead of 40, but I don't remember that stuff anymore. So just using an analogy, that pool analogy works really good. About 10 years ago, I picked it up from one of the guys selling a home. I just loved that. That was great. You know, so. All right. R value of 10, I'm not going to spend much time here. Okay, so Embark finishes. It's got 14 stains, 7 glazes, 15-year paint and stain, 10-year paint and stain again on the Steele and Heritage. The Embark is using the same skins as the Signet fiberglass, with the exception of we don't have it in fur, and I don't think we got it in Naughty Alder in that series. So your paints, 10-year warranty, stains, 10-year warranty on the Heritage or the Legacy, smooth, or wood grain, steel door, just like this. This is wood grain on the inside, okay? That happens to be a flush door, by the way. If it was a paneled wood grain steel door, it would be architecturally correct. It looks just like a wood door on the steel. If it's a Signet, paint or stain, 15-year warranty, Embark, paint or stain also. Same thing with the glazes. The glazes match the style door it's on. It's the same exact paint or stain that we put on any of these doors, okay? It's just marketing. It's exposure also with the warranty, risk assessment. So we just bring the price down. Get a price difference, okay? The Embark hardware. You don't have all the selection that you have with all the other hardware in the Embark because it's 2.5 inches thick. It only uses one hardware only on the Embark. So it's only available with the MTech hardware because you got to go through 2.5 inches of a door, not 1 inch and 3/4. Okay. You can get the kick plates on it. You can get knockers. That one happens to be a colonial knocker, which is really nice. Peep sight, 7/8 peep sight. Where are those mounted from the bottom of the door? What's the standard height for a peep sight?
4.5 feet.
62 inches. 62 inches. If you have a shorter guy, shorter gal in the home,
Cam.
and they're shorter, maybe like this, and you're in a solid panel door, we can move the peep sight down.
Just for you guys.
Okay? If you got somebody that's really vertically challenged, much shorter, sell them a magazine slot, they can live through that. That works.
So at least if Joseph through the magazine slot.
Yeah, or a doggy door.
Okay. This is called a faux speakeasy. We also do have them with the actual window behind them. Don't sell them in this area, please. You're going to have condensation. They're single pane, got a metal frame. They're great in California, Florida, maybe even Atlanta, but not up here. We've got them, they're in there. And if you do sell one, you're going to have service calls, guarantee it. Okay? So it won't be a faux, it'll be actually a window with that metal bracket over the top of it. The embark threshold uses the ZAC, also the self-adjusting. Now let's get into the Signet. The Signet fiberglass door is available in a mahogany, cherry, oak, knotty alder, fir, and a smooth. The one thing about the Signet, before I get into performance data, and I know Todd would have talked about this, what generation fiberglass is this? Fourth. You got it. You had 4 fingers up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. My glasses need clean, so I saw 4. Yeah. 3rd generation is our drop fiberglass, which is called the Heritage. This is both oak grain. Look at the difference between the two. The one on my right looks more plastic too, doesn't it? Okay. How this is made, the mold for this, they're hand carved out and they're made that way. A design of a door. This one, that's cold too. This one is made from a high def photo. So if you take a high def photo, you're also going to see every high and low of that wood grain. So what they do with that is they take that electronic signal in the picture, they make a silicone jelly mold out of that. Okay? But it's got every high, every low of the grain, and every angle of that door. So we're taking a high def photo of an actual wood door. So we're making a clone of it, is what we're doing. So the silicone mold, now, the silicone does you no good to run fiberglass over because it's going to last once. So they got to use a metal. So the metal they use is nickel. The reason they use nickel is because nickel breaks down so easy. And how they break it down is they break it right down to the atom. So they take the metal and they put it in high temperature and pressurize it with gas. And then they run a negative to positive charge through that. Why would they do that? See if anybody catches this. We're talking atoms here. What's an atom made of?
Neutron, electron, proton.
Okay? So when you run a negative to positive, those neutrons, proton and electrons, the electron's going to line up, electron, proton, proton. Okay? You'll still get the neutron floating, but you get 2/3 of the atom lining up. When you line that up, it's going to make for a very, very hard surface. By the way, what I'm describing to you is called nanotechnology. And you know this, not nano, okay, but nanotechnology. Mork and Mindy, if you guys ever watched that show years ago. But nanotechnology is used today, countertops, kitchen countertops. That's why you can sit, that's not made of rock, and you take those composite countertops, put your hard thing right up on top of the countertop. Your hot, I said hot thing right up on top out of the oven, whatever it is, and it's not going to hurt at all. Car bumpers, nanotechnology. They went from, you know, chrome thick bumpers to these thin composite nanotechnology bumpers that, man, those things last. They do a great job. If they could come up with a paint, and they haven't yet, we would have lifetime finished doors. They don't have it. Yeah.
Waterproofing on your electronics too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's so much stuff now that's nano. Your hardware on your entry doors, they have lifetime finish. They take in, you can't do the whole piece of hardware. They put it all in a gas chamber and they heat it, but they take the top surface and align the atoms on the top surface. So they may go down, I don't know, a 64th of an inch, and they line all the atoms on that, and that's what gives it a very tough, hard surface, and you get a lifetime warranty finish on the hardware. So that's nanotechnology. So, go back to the nickel. We've got it suspended in the air. We're running negative to positive charge through it. They reduce the heat, reduce the pressure. It starts to fall down up on top of the silicone mold. Now as it falls, it starts to harden, and then it smashes the silicone mold, but then when you flip it over, silicone comes out, you got a perfect mold, an exact replica of that door. We have cloned that door. Plus, you've got a metal die that's gonna last thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of doors before you have to replace it. By the way, each one of those molds, anywhere from 500 to 700,000 for that technology, for one door.
Wow.
So when you're out there, you say, why doesn't Provia have this style door? I'm seeing it everywhere. Maybe not. Because if you were, we'd have it. We're not going to spend the money into it if you can't get the return back off of it. Okay? So each one of those door styles, start thinking about that, how much we got in dies. Think about that. Very expensive. Okay? So, that's the Signet fiberglass and how that's made, 4th generation. You can also, I'll pass these around in a few minutes here. You can see the thickness in fiberglass too. Look at the fiberglass when you get it. Big difference. Okay? All right. Performance data. We've got an average column here. The average column is Masonite, which is a big door company. Masonite makes this for us, although we don't use their pine rail. That's our rail. They use a pine rail. We won't use pine. And it's thermo-true. Okay? So their average on their structural testing, the structural testing on that is water, air, and strength of the door is what structural is. It's in the design pressure. Is 37, the Signet comes out at a 55. So we're 36% better than those doors. Forced entry. Forced entry is what we call the Rambo test. If we can get you guys down on a tour, love to have you down there. We start the tours at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're done by 1:30. So from here to there, about 6 hours. Worth an overnight trip.
Yeah, we did it. We loved it. Touring the plants, got to see all 3 of them. Pretty magnificent to see it in live.
I can tell you that in-home, when you're selling after going to the plant, your conviction of what you're talking about goes up 150%. They say, well, we can paint it ourselves. Wait a second. I've seen how they do this. You're not going to do nothing like what they do. And for this price, you cannot afford to do this.
And the warranty comes with it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a video of one of those tests? Like
The Rainbow test? Yeah. Yeah, there's videos of it. We do have that. And so what that Rainbow test is, it's a 100-pound weight, and we made the 100-pound weight ourselves. It's a casing with all Schlage key brass locks, or keys in it on the inside. And it's 99.9 something pounds. And what you do is you take this, the test that NFRC developed, and they're looking for breaking criteria, is they got a level 10, a level 20, a level 30, and a level 40. Level 40 is the highest you go. We take that triple on our steel doors. I mean, we've got 16-foot ceilings, and you take this weight, we'll take it clear to the top. And when you come in for a tour, we'll show you this. We'll let you break in a door. It's really cool to watch this test. So, anyways, way the test reads is at level 10, it's 2 hits, so many feet away from the door. Now, each foot that 100-pound weight moves, that goes 135 pounds of pressure on that door, each foot. Okay, that's a lot of pressure on that door. So, and I don't remember exactly what the distances are. I think the first one's like 3 feet, second one's like 6. So level 20 is like 6, level 30 might be 7 or 8 feet. Okay. So what they do, it hits it twice. They examine the door, make sure nothing's coming apart. They pull it back, do level 20, hits it twice. They pull back, do level 30, hits it twice. Now, the test reads at that point, after level 30, you can change out your door slab. Why do you think they say that?
For other companies whose doors aren't tough enough to take.
Well, I know that,
Oh.
but the thought is, I thought you might have had a side job. That's why I was looking at you there, as a burglar or something. Anyways, most burglars ain't gonna come up to your door and say, okay, oh, that's level 10. Let me back up a little further. They're not gonna do that. They're gonna hit it with full force. So it is kind of fair that they do that. We don't change out our slabs at level 30. except for on that masonite door that we have. Gotta change it. It ain't gonna go to level 40. Okay? So at level 40, so many feet back, and we hit it twice. On our crack house approved door, we go way beyond that. That sucker is just amazing. The steel door. That's why we still sell. You know, we sell 65% of the doors we sell are still steel. May have to do something a little bit with price too, because it's not as expensive as the Signet, but man, it's a monster. Front back door of my house, I've got steel doors. That's it. In between the garage and the house, I got fiberglass. A little bit warmer to the touch. And then I've got, what type of hinge do you think I got on that door? Now, what type of hinge do you think I would put between the garage and the house? There's a reason for it. I want to see if Todd talked about this. How about the bomber hinge? Spring-loaded hinge. All you gotta do is take an Allen wrench and you wind it up at the top, and it's self-closing. The door self-closes. So as my wife and kids bring in groceries, because I'm sitting on the couch, if they bring in groceries and stuff, it closes behind them automatically. You also are required to use a bomber hinge on a fire-rated door between the garage and the house too. Okay?
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
About the hinge. I knew the fire rated, didn't know about the hinge.
Fire rated, 20-minute fire rated, and up here, I'm sure it's in most of the counties, especially because you guys are really, it's more touchier in Michigan, even about egress on windows too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've got to use a bomber hinge up here.
So your fiberglass doors will meet that 20 minutes then, huh? You only don't have to do a steel door?
Don't have to, no, do fiberglass, because then we'll give you a solid core filled with chemicals, and it'll last 20 minutes on fire.
It'll melt you to death. Perfect.
It's one of the heaviest fiberglass doors we got with that solid core. Yeah.
Nice.
So on a fire rated door, you also have to have fire rated hardware, and you also have to have fire rated weather stripping, so it can pass that 20 minutes. Steel door, you can go up to 90-minute rating. We can probably do 3 hours if we didn't have a core that we do if we went to a different core. Yeah.
So in Provia, when you're building the project, if you click fire rated in the beginning, it's only gonna give you fire rated hinge options, hardware options, all that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And you'll have limitations on style of door too.
Okay.
So mine's a 2-panel between the garage and the house, 2-panel for a solid door. But went with fiberglass, it's warmer to the touch, because that's the one I use. I don't use the front door. I don't use the one in the back. I use the patio door. I got a sliding patio door.
Is it Anderson?
Well, I gotta tell you, I won't get opinionated, okay? But I gotta tell you, I got Anderson 400 series windows for my house.
That's your problem there.
And I've got, I'm not gonna say. And I've got 2 single French doors on the back with the multi-point lock. And the adjustable hinges, which I just cannot stand. The adjustable hinges they have. I can open the door and all of a sudden I hear boom. Oh crap. You gotta go. Now the door doesn't work and you gotta go mess with those hinges with the Allen wrench. And it happens to me at least once, sometimes twice a year. My house is 11 years old. I don't know if I got bad hinges or what.
Bad install.
Yeah, builder bid it. The reason I got this stuff is because it was a model home when I bought it, so it already had those. Got Provia entry doors everywhere else, but I just sold it 2 weeks ago, and I moved out the 22nd, so we're downsizing to our retirement home. So, yeah, all the kids are out, so that's a good thing. Yeah, 12 grandkids already too.
Oh,
Yeah, you got 8 kids, dude, you know. When the floodgates open, they open, man, let me tell you. Yeah, and they're all married but one.
Good you.
Yeah, the youngest. All right, so let's go on to permanent set. This is another test that is not required, but we do, especially on fiberglass, because it tells the strength of the door itself. What we do is we mount this into a frame. We take a hydraulic plunger on the strike side. So not on the inside, on the strike side, so be here where it's weaker down at the bottom, and we put 260 pounds of force on that, pushing the corner of that door in. We leave it that way for 3 hours. We remove the plunger, and then we measure the deflection. What stays? Did it bend it? And it'll initially, not initially, eventually come back to its original state, but you test it right off the bat. So, permanent set, with theirs, we did 190 pounds. We actually cracked the door. That Therma-Tru door, we cracked the darn thing. Went too far with it. Ours will take 240 pounds. So that's 26% better. And then sound transmission, STC level of 22, we got a 26, so we got 18% better. STC, everybody know what STC is? Should know from Windows. Sound transmission level. Okay. One of the best ways to break down sound besides triple glazed windows is put laminate glass in it. You're in a real heavy area of sound, put in laminate glass. Takes that sound down to nothing. You don't hear it squat. You're on a busy street, busy area. And I'm sure you guys have got the option for laminate. So we need to on the entry doors also. So, yep. Okay?
Bulletproof glass.
Bulletproof. Heritage. Okay, the Heritage is our drop fiberglass door. Okay?
We don't offer it. Skip.
Oh, you're not offering it?
Not in the Heritage. Signet and Legacy and Embark.
Cool. Cool. Your average sale ought to be higher than everybody else's. I like that. So offering the Embark, I'd almost offer the Embark every time I go in so that you do sell the Signet. Because that's how drops typically work. They want to see that percentage discount. If price doesn't honor, you're going to sell them the Embark. So let me do this then. I'm gonna take this a different angle. The Signet door, I want to show you what that rail, and the rail is what goes up and down vertically on the door, okay? This is the hinge side of the Signet door. It's 2 5/8 thick. What we've got in here is we've got a hardwood, typically oak, on the inside. This is 2-ply from this point here to this point here. Then we got a leading edge of a 1/2 inch. The reason we got a leading edge of a 1/2 inch is because our edges could change to different woods. So it could be cherry on this side, oak on this side, if you wanted to. The reason we do that is because we offer the Signet door. You could have a 3-panel cherry outside. All your interior doors are 6-panel oak. You can put a 6-panel oak skin on the inside of this. So we want it to be architecturally correct, that when you open that door with oak on the inside, this edge over here should be oak. When you're viewing it on the outside, that leading edge should be cherry. We go through that much detail to make sure it matches. By the way, on our steel door, you can do just what we show you here. Stainable steel one side, smooth on the other, 6-panel one side, 4-panel other. We are the manufacturers of this product. That's why we can build this on 1/8 of an inch height and width. That's why we can build the Signet on the 1/8 of an inch height and width. The only time that you get into width problems is when you get into panel designs. We bring these skins in with them pre-stamped. Same thing on the steel. So we've got no control over the stamping. So sometimes we can only come in 2.5 inches on one side. But usually, if somebody's got a width issue, it's not much over 3/4 of an inch. So we can usually accommodate them. All right. So in the industry, you'll look at Therma-Tru, you'll look at Masonite. That's the two biggest. GP, LP, they build such cheap doors. You might as well put on shower doors on a house. Having the oak here, first of all, makes a world of difference. Coming from our area, when you think of Amish, what do you think of?
Quality.
Quality, all right? What else do you think of? Cabinetry, furniture, okay?
No mustaches.
Yeah. Yeah, no mustaches, no beards if they're not married either.
No,
They can't have a beard unless they're married.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, can't have a beard. So you know if a guy's got a beard and he's Amish, he's married. Because they don't wear wedding rings anyways. So, yeah.
Learn something new every day.
There's a
boss.
one-off.
Yeah, that's it.
Self-invoked it on myself.
That's it. Say, his beard, your beard, I think you're part of the Yoder family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If I shave it and do whatever I want.
What do they call the horse and buggies? Yoder toters.
No.
Yoder toters. Yeah.
Good
They even
choice.
have Yoder SUVs. Those are the 6-passenger. Yeah, we've got a lot of Yoder SUVs in our area. Yeah. The big long
They
ones.
actually have lights now.
Oh, lights. My gosh. They look like Jeeps coming down the road at night in my area. With having the lights on. I don't know what they're using for batteries on those suckers.
Horsepower.
They must have 4 or 5 batteries.
Burn a fire up.
And then most of the people in my area now that also ride the bicycles, which is a huge percentage, are all going to the DC motor bicycles. You'll see Granny not pedaling and she's going 35 miles an hour. You know?
Yeah, we saw someone over there riding the bikes.
Yeah.
3 people on one bike on the road. Crazy.
Cheapest you're gonna buy those is about 3,200 on up, and you'll see these young kids riding these things. The whole family's riding.
They've been milking them cows.
Milking them. Doing more milking them. They're killing them. They're using them for meat. That's more money there. Anyways, now I forget where I was at. Okay, I was going into this on the way. So in our area, we do a lot of furniture, a lot of cabinetry. We're not going to use pine. That's what the competitors are using on their doors. We're going to use hardwoods. The other thing that you got to do to these hardwoods, just like you should with a pine, is they need to be kiln dried. You got to pull all that moisture out of here. So our edges of the Signet door are kiln dried. Competition will run a moisture content of about 21% on their rails. Ours are anywhere, could be anywhere from 3 up to 6%, just depends. Okay? What does that mean to you? I'm sure you've heard, first of all, of fiberglass doors warping. Okay? That's the competition. Reason being, they got all that moisture in the rail. The fall hits, they turn on the fireplaces, the furnaces, it starts to go to the heated side because it's got all that moisture in there. If you remove the moisture, you don't have to worry about it. You don't get warped doors. Think about your furniture in a home. You got a table? Mine's cherry. Got them handmade locally. In the wintertime, if it had the moisture in it, as soon as we turn on the heat of the house, corners of the table would start warping up. That's why you don't have that warped wood. That's why we do it that way. Now this is just the hinge side. As you saw on my sample, that's the strike side. Okay? It's wider for a reason. Now, what's the other thing that they do in woodworking on cabinetry when they're making these cabinets?
Mortise and tenon joints.
Mortise and tenon joints and also dovetails. Okay? Dovetail joints. Physically impossible for this to come apart. Thermatrue, masonite, pin nailed and glued in the corner. Pin nailed and glued. Physically impossible for this to come apart.
Write that down.
Okay?
They do, say that again, the,
Pin nail. So they glue it and they pin nail it with one nail. Just give the chance for the glue to,
A finish nail.
yeah. And they bury it in the edge of the door.
That's a big deal right there, guys.
The door ain't never coming apart, let me tell you. Is it crack house approved?
yes.
Yeah, it depends. It depends.
You get that metal plate in there?
The edge of the door on the fiberglass is going to hold up, just like the steel door does. However, I take a ball peen hammer, I can crack the fiberglass and go through the center of the door, right? Nobody would think of that, except for crooks. They always do. They should be scientists, but they've used their minds in other places.
Mad scientist.
Yeah, mad scientists, I like that, that's good. I'll steal that from you. So, you know, the steel door, they're not gonna get through it. Also, the fiberglass tends to bounce off something that hits it. Think of a boat going on the water, man, it does a great job until you've got a big branch sticking up and puts a hole in the bottom of the fiberglass bottle. Same thing can happen here. It ain't gonna happen over here because you've got this. On the strike side, you got 4 3/16 running from top of the door to the bottom of the door. Competition. This one too. This is our drop, masonite door. Okay. Look how thin that rail is. Okay, compared to what we just showed you on the Signet. It goes down until it's above the lock set area, and it's about 19 inches by 4 inches. They put in a lockbox. They just glue it next to this wood until they get their foam in place, and then underneath it. It's really a weak point in the in the strike area. It'll hold up better than the cheap steel doors at Home Depot and Lowe's. But compared to this, it goes top to bottom. The old Wendy's commercial with this one. Where's the beef? It's just not there. It is not there. So, crack house approved, yeah. It hold up just like that 20 gauge steel door would until somebody got wise enough and cracked it and tried to get through in the center. But you're gonna go through a window at that point in time or something else. Use his machine gun to shoot a hole through it, whatever.
So that strike side rail goes top to bottom, and our competition's is not only thinner, but it doesn't go top to bottom.
No, you got a lockbox in there. It's 19 inches with
19
a
inches.
adjustable and lock set, but and that's just usually a pressed wood. You know, it's just a pressed wood.
And real thin compared to 4 and a.
Well, it's all the way. It's 1 3/4 inch thickness of the door, but it's pressed wood. So the pressed wood is just. Yeah, it's like furniture
That's
that you
garbage.
buy at Walmart
Right.
and get water on it. Yeah. So strength, durability, security, strong, 20 gauge. We'll get into that one a little bit. And then we've got, of course, that strike side, hinge side. We don't need to have as big as we have on the strike side, but a lot of strength, a lot of durability on this Signet fiberglass door. And I think, you know, again, we're doing 65% steel, and steel price is probably why we sell 65% steel. The steel's, compared to the Signet, you're probably looking at could be a 30% difference going from fiberglass to steel, because when you stain it, man, there's a lot of work that goes into staining. It's a hand stain process. They let it sit overnight, clear coat it, let it sit overnight, clear coat it again, catalyst hardeners, UV inhibitors to protect it against the sun. Do we have a warranty on fading? Let me ask you that, on any doors.
It's 10 years, isn't it?
No warranty. Nothing has a warranty on fading. There's nothing you can do about it. It's gonna fade over a period of time. Cars, doesn't matter. It'll fade over a period of time. So what we recommend for you to do is, you heard me just say UV inhibitors we put in the clear coats, UV inhibitors we put in the paints. What is full of UV inhibitors that you can buy right off the shelf?
Sunscreen?
Oh, that is for your body, it's done differently, but yeah, I never thought that. It does, yeah. How about your dash in your car, what do you use? Armor All, put it on your door. Spray it on a rag, don't spray it on the door, because your door might be hot. Spray it on a rag, wipe down your door when you clean your glass. We do it twice a year. I shouldn't say, I shouldn't use the French version. My wife doesn't, I do. We don't do that, I do it. Okay? All right, we'll bypass the heritage, and I like that you guys aren't selling it. That is cool. I'm gonna have to pay attention to your sales metrics and watch your average sales. Okay, what you're gonna see now is what I used to hand draw when I was selling. I would hand draw this for the customer. So we put this in here. This is what I used to use. It was a real good process. of teaching the homeowner the difference between our doors and everybody else's in the steel, okay? So, in 1964, Peachtree was the innovator of the steel residential door. What they took was a 1 3/4 by 1 5/8 piece of wood to make the rail going up and down the edge of the door. They indented it here, indented it here. We're showing polyurethane here, but originally they started with styrofoam. They put glue on the styrofoam on all 4 sides, set it inside the door, and they took a piece of steel. The steel stops right here at that edge. If you want to walk up here, well, you've got the drawing right there. It goes from here down to here. The foam on the inside and the glue is what holds the door together. The only thing between you and the burglar outside is this little piece of wood right here. Okay? That's what you're getting as a box door for a 6-panel, $149 door. Stanley makes it, which is no longer in business. Masonite owns them. Therma-Tru makes it that way. Georgia Pacific makes it that way. Louisiana Pacific, and I forgot Gelman. They're one of the biggest door companies in the world. And they make a bunch of cheap crap. Gelman. Okay? Now think about that edge. That edge of the door being so small. What do you have along the edge of the door? Locks. What do you got to do to put the locks in?
Cut into that wood.
Yeah. So if you put a hole here and here, didn't you just pre-drill to crack this entire edge of the door? How much pressure do you think it's going to take for somebody to break that wood along the edge of the door? Then what happens is the back sets move like this, and it's so easy to get in those doors. 3 to 5 year door if nobody slams them all the time. So one of the biggest weaknesses on that door, just terrible. Another company come along, and we've got Pella up there. Before it was a Pella, it was a company out of Cincinnati, Ohio, that Pella had bought. And what they did is they said the whole problem here is that you're exposing the wood rail and it's not covered with steel on the outside. So what they did is they took the steel and they went out to the center of the door, made a cut in the center of that wood rail, and ran the steel right into it like this. Now remember what I just said about the lock set? They took it a step further. They went from top to the bottom of the door and cut out that wood rail. That was called P's, ever straight. Ever straight, never safe. I'm telling you, it's even easier to break it in the one next to it. And then Acorn also made the same door. Where was Acorn at? You might know. Charlotte, Michigan. They caught on fire. And the plant burned down and they never rebuilt it. They also did, probably in these hotels around here, the older hotels, all the aluminum windows that are in them. Acorn windows. Yeah. Okay. The next change with the steel doors was Prim, another company that is now owned by Masonite down in Dixon, Tennessee. They said, guys, the whole problem what you've been doing wrong here is you shouldn't have wood in the door whatsoever. There's no strength in that. They were right. And what they did is they used an end cap. Of course, we're viewing this from the top down of the door, so we're viewing this just like this. Okay, this is the edge of the door. We're viewing it from top down. And they put an 18 gauge commercial cap and then wrapped the 24 gauge steel into it. Not a bad design, did a halfway decent job, stronger than the other doors. The problem was right here in this area, when they were using magnetic weather stripping, it didn't seal well against that indentation there too well. But they had the concept, it was a little bit good. Castlegate kept the same steel concept, square edge design so it fit better against the weather stripping, And they had an interlock with a piece of vinyl that went in between it, that kind of give it, they said it was a thermal break, but it's not a thermal break. Castlegate was bought by Masonite also. So they sell, I don't know if they still even make that door now. But that's kind of the history of steel doors. And still is up to the point today. I don't think anybody's made any other changes. It had taken me, a good 6 months investigating steel doors to figure this out. And when I showed it to homeowners, they had no clue. Because they all think the Home Depot ad, a door's a door. No, it's not. Far from it. They're not all made the same. Okay? Then, we've got the Provia door and our edge and how that is made. It's a continuous steel edge. We use on a residential, we use a composite top and bottom. If it's a fire rated door or a commercial door, and we do commercial doors, you can get commercial doors from us in steel or fiberglass with panic bars, vertical rod assemblies already pre-mounted on a pre-finished door. Your installers don't even have to put on hardware. We've already got it pre-done for them. Okay, so continuous steel edge on the 20 gauge. It is a commercial door that we are manufacturing for a residential application. And it's an all steel construction. You can think of these corners, think of how much strength you've got in those corners, in welding or making trailers, angle iron. These are 4 pieces of angle iron in every corner. A lot of strength in those corners of this 20 gauge product. And for the 20 gauge, feel the strength. Here's the 20 gauge, and here's the 2. You don't see much 22 anymore. But 20 gauge, 24 and 26 is what you find in the box stores. Their premium doors are 24. Their cheaper doors are all 26. Okay? This is our 20. Great testimonial to hand out to the homeowner.
Say it again. In the box stores, the 24.
24 is their premium door. The 26 is their everyday cheap door. 26 gauge. In steel, the lower the number you get, the thicker it is. It's the opposite of aluminum.
It's like a gun.
Polyurethane core on the inside. Give us a good R factor on that door. And that tab and slot mechanical interlock going up and down the edge. Every 2 inches going up and down the edge of the door. And before we interlock it, we use a poly resin seal going all the way around it. That's the same stuff that they use. You ever open up your car hood, you see those ribs of heavy thick steel? On the back side of that is that poly resin seal. It's a glue, is what holds on your car hood. We use the same stuff for the doors. So, physical endurance test on this, it tests commercial, 1,000,000 cycles. By the way, the Signet test out 1,000,000 cycles too. It's only, NFRC tells you, the National Fenestration Rating Council, which puts the guidelines down for doors, says it's residential, so on fiberglass doors, you only have to test at 250,000 cycles. And what a cycle test is, you hook it up to a robot, and you're slamming this door in the opening. That's 1 cycle, 2 cycles. And they're making sure the door's not coming apart. So residentially, you only have to pass 250. Our Signet passes 1,000,000, so does our 20 gauge, which is commercial rated. Forced entry, security level 40 and on up with the 20 gauge steel. Wind load, 142 miles an hour. That's all we got to test to in Florida. I don't think we've ever taken it any further, so we're approved in Florida. Acoustical sound performance, 25. Believe me, there's not a homeowner saying, hey, does your door meet STC rating 23? Unless he's in the business and he's an engineer. That's the only time that's ever going to happen. Call customer service. By the way, customer service is open until 6:30 every day, Monday through Friday. Okay. Everybody know that number, customer service? 800 669 4711. 800-669-4711. That's customer service, that number coming in. Make sure you ask for entry doors. We also manufacture windows, we also manufacture siding, vinyl siding, we also manufacture stone for the outside of the house. We also manufacture steel roofing. So make sure you ask for the door customer service. And we've got, 30 people on the phone,
One more time. 800-669.
4711. They're not gonna give you any pricing on anything, but they'll answer any type of technical question that you've got, okay? They're there to help you guys. I used them a lot, still do. We've got in the steel embossed and flush designs. The design is pressed into the door, that's the embossed, and of course flush is just like this. You can customize, I told you that already, you can customize both sides of your door on the embarked, signet, and 20-gauge steel. 3-panel one side, 2-panel other, oak one side, cherry other, you can do that. Glass options. Just a little bit. Okay, so we got decorative glass in 21 lines. By the way, our decorative glass, you will not find anywhere else. We've got our own exclusive line. We've got the direct Chinese connection, and unfortunately, that's where it's all made. It's just one of those things when the NAFTA treaty come out, and all this stuff started going left and right, a lot of your businesses moved over there, and that's where it's from. Your hardware on the storm doors used to be made in Iowa. It's sold out to Taiwanese, and that's where it's all made. Yeah, it's just unfortunate, but. We have a dialogue layered glass. Also, if you guys got one of the glass books, or one of the big thick, I think he's got some, here we go. And you got a ton of these brochures out there, there's boxes of them. Let's see if I can find the dialogue. There we go, page 82. You'll need this book. You'll need this book with every appointment you go on, okay? Just don't ever give it away. Just let them know it's a sin to give it away, you can't do it. So this is your dialogue layered glass. Very contemporary looking, okay? So, I'll use this as I'm going through this. Yeah, it's very unique looking. We've got internal grids, contoured. We've got two-tone colors on the grids to match our paint colors. It's real easy. You know, when you're using the iPad app, you're just going to pick and select. Okay? Inspirations Art Glass. That's the Art Deco glass. What time do you guys stop?
Whenever you're done talking.
Okay, good. I'll show a video on the inspirations. Direct set side lights. What's a direct set side light?
Side light directly next to the door.
There's no frame of the door itself. So if you have a side light, whether it's steel or fiberglass, you're going to have steel and fiberglass all around it, and then a glass inset with it. The direct set is nothing but glass, and it fits right into the frame. So that's going to fit right in here into the frame, all the way around top, bottom, and sides. And
We
with the
found
direct set,
In
you
Boston, we found it wasn't very popular, the direct set, unless we had to.
yeah. You got an odd size opening, go with direct sets, you can make anything fit because we can build the glass to any size you need. And we just got to order in every door, entry door, and every storm door is tempered safety glass. You don't want nobody to go through it. By the way, this one's really neat. Transoms over the top of your entry doors don't have to be tempered safety glass. Could you imagine one of your kids slamming a door and breaking that above them, and your 9-year-old kid, a piece of glass come down and chops off his arm?
Icicles.
Provia uses nothing but tempered safety glass, even in the transoms. That's a standard for us. The thought of that ever happening, and it's happened, so we just don't want to put nothing but tempered safety glass in there, okay? There's no law on that. We just made our own, so. lifetime warranty on all the clear glass, lifetime seal failure, and lifetime glass breakage, whether it's decorative or not. Even on your storm doors, by the way, lifetime glass breakage. The lifetime glass breakage on the warranty is one of the limited sections. That doesn't transfer. Reason we feel it shouldn't transfer is the original homeowner paid for it. They should get the coverage on it. What do we cover on that breakage? What does that say? The only thing we don't really cover on the breakage is acts of God, where tornado ripped out the whole house. Your insurance is going to cover it. You know.
But
Little
the
Johnny-
other act of God, when your wife or your husband throws something at you, that is covered.
My wife's never claimed that one. I want that.
Yeah, we use that was one of our lines in Boston. Wife throws something at you, misses, but it hits your glass in your door, it's covered. So have at it. Throw the spaghetti and the noodles. And
Yeah, you're covered. It doesn't matter. If you throw a rock from the lawnmower, you're covered.
So if we go to a job that's both an entry door and windows, and we're talking warranty, and here we have limited lifetime warranty. In the windows in the state of Michigan, if you see that, state of Michigan puts a number on limited lifetime warranties. We're trying to discredit that, saying 7 years. And then if we go back and say, hey, we have a limited lifetime warranty though on this door,
I was thinking that.
so how does that
Reconcile.
instead of
apply?
saying limited, you'll call it a true. Use the word true in there.
To the original homeowner, the only thing that changes is everything transfers, but the glass breakage because the original homeowner paid for it.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how else to say it. And I know what you're talking about. I had forgotten about that. But yeah, I mean, it's otherwise we fit it 100%, except for the second person getting it because they didn't pay for it.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure I'm not talking about both sides of my mouth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. We want to be transparent with everything and right.
So, but for our clarity, lifetime with Provia, no matter what state you're in, lifetime means lifetime of the homeowner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't mean if you die and come back reincarnated that you get the warranty. And that doesn't happen. Okay, we only give it to you once. All right. 10-year warranty on the internal blinds. Many blinds between glass, we don't make it. And that includes mechanical and seal failure. Mechanical and seal failure. Straight 10-year warranty. Stains, we talked about this a little bit already. 15-year on Embark and Signet. 10-year on your legacy steel. You're not using the heritage so good. I made that easy. Hardware. MTech Mortise hardware. The Mortise hardware, you ever use one of those old doors where you got that little button on the edge of the door that you gotta press in? And yeah, that's what the Mortise is. But I can tell you, watching this do the Rambo test on the wall, this is one of the best hardwares to use for strength and security. Man, heck of a hardware. Heck of a hardware. Because you got that whole big area where you've got your back set all going in there at once. There's a lot of strength in that. Just a strong set of hardware. Intech solid brass hardware, Schlage vintage solid brass hardware, and the app does such a great job of showing all this. The Brinks push pull rotate hardware. You put on the Brinks and you got between the house and garage carrying the groceries, a little hip action, you hit the hardware and the door opens. You pull on the hardware, the door opens. You close the door all the way and you're pulling on the hardware, the door won't lock. So you gotta grab the edge of the door when you close it. So you're not using the hardware and it locks. That's the one negative thing with the Brinks. Keypad, electronic lock sets. I got these on house, garage, pole barn. Kids can never remember where their keys are at, so everybody's got a different number, up to 19 users on this. So you can include the milkman and the mailman. So no issue, they can have their own.
Does that connect with like Alexa or anything?
No, they've got that over. I can't imagine how many calls our IT department would get with that. Trilinium multi-point hardware, and we also have Hoppy, which you guys use. That's the hardware Anderson uses. So we don't have as many styles as you do, but the Hoppy's a good set of hardware. I just replaced mine. The whole, you order it as one piece. Mine stopped working. Mail slots, magazine slots. Mail slots I think are 9 inches, magazine slots are 13 inches. Our mail slots and magazine slots, they're completely finished inside the out. And you're foolish to think if you put a mail slot, magazine slot on your entry door that you're not going to have air leaking in. I wouldn't put them on up here unless you've got, I put them on the storm door if you want to put them somewhere. Best place to put them. Same thing with doggy doors, pet doors. Don't put them on your primary door. You can get them, but put them on your storm doors. You're breaking down the integrity of your primary door. Don't do it. Okay? Talk your customer out of it. 7/8 peep sights. The 7/8 peep sight, big peep sight, it's about a 240-degree area. See really well. Versus what you're used to in the hotels, knocker viewer, little 5/16 peep sight. I mean, until you see the person's eyeball, you can't see nothing. And they're much harder to see out of. Okay?
And how high do you set your peep sight?
62.
Hey, listen, that's good.
They did good.
Thank you, guys.
Customizing, I'm not gonna hit that up. Okay. I already talked about that. French doors. Double doors, any door can, all styles are available. Same options as on the standard doors. The one thing that you need to know about the French doors, the center astragal, we use nothing but hurricane astragals on our entry doors, so we're using the best. So you got a head bolt, foot bolt, lever, and in the header, we have a much smaller security plate. It's about that big, but it's in the header for that bolt to go in through the top, because the bolt that's going in through the bottom, it's got the strength of the threshold also. You know, that aluminum threshold. So we put one of these in the top in the header. So when your guys install those, they need shim on both sides of this in the header, and these in the top in the header. So when your guys install those, they need shim on both sides of this in the header on the French door. And they come pre-painted, pre-matched. Unequal French doors. We can do these also. Only in the steel, but you got a 60-inch opening. You can do a 36-inch door on one side and a 24-inch on the other side. On French doors, and you order storm doors, you have to order the French door conversion kit. You got to. Wall thickness up to 20% thicker than the industry standard. They're just beefy as all get out. You can see that from the cutaway. Bottom expander with sweep virtually eliminates draft. We put 3, this is showing 2. This year we went to 3 blades on every storm door at the bottom. Storm doors all gotta have tempered safety glass. It's a must. Installation screw cover, that's what I was pointing out here. Here you can see the screw underneath it, that's right here. Okay. Closures, something to note. The Spectrum comes with 2. The Decorator comes with 2. The Deluxe is one heavy duty with a DuraGuard. Highly recommend that you upgrade if you're using a Deluxe or if you're using a DuraGuard, upgrade to 2 closures. The Provia door seals so well, you need both closures to get it to close properly and seal. Heavy duty does okay, but you're constantly adjusting between winter and summer. With the dual closures, you also have a winter and summer connection. And where the closer, right here is, it's where it connects here, there's a winter and summer. So you're stretching it a little further in the winter to close it because you got your doors shut all the time. And in the summer, because you open your doors a lot more, many times you leave them open, it backs off on the tension. So it moves the other direction. So there's a winter and summer switch. I bet you guys never knew that and wonder why it was always hard to get that storm door closed. But there's a winter and summer switch, basically. And they're color matched. That sash lock right there, that's on the Decorator. That chrome sash lock, they're always chrome, so no matter what color you get that in, that lock is chrome. Okay, it's a ball bearing sash lock. We get it from the airline industry, and they use it on cargo holds. And it's just a 2-position lock. The ball bearing pulls it out, turns it, and locks it back in. You can feel it. It's really smooth. You just take a quarter or a nickel, stick it in there, pull your sash out if you want to, put in a screen. And then we use the polycarbonate clips on the Deluxe series that hold the glass and screen in with the thumb turns. Okay. Four color match leaf hinges with bronze bushings on the hinge side, or you can get piano hinges. Which one do you think is better? 4-hinge system or piano hinge?
Well, the piano hinge is continuous, isn't it?
It is.
I would think that would be better.
You would get that impression, but through the years that I've been using them, the 4-hinge system is better, in my opinion, because the piano hinge, if it starts squeaking, you're gonna have to oil it. You oil it, guess what happens? Now you're getting dirt and stuff sticking to it, and you gotta clean it. The other one has bronzole bushings. So the bronzole bushings are right here, top and bottom. And they interlock. They're self-oiling. You never have to put anything on it. This was the original hinge from 1944. We're still using the same thing. Heck of a system. On the other one, it looks prettier. It's got the options in satin nickel, bright brass, aged bronze. I mean, it gives a real nice accent. But I'm very partial to the 4-hinge system. If you get an 8-foot door, you get a 5-hinge system. So, yeah. Just, I prefer the other. I won't sell the other unless somebody says, I like the look of that and I want that. Okay. Just remember, you're gonna have to oil it and then you're gonna have to clean it. Okay? If they wanna do that, that's fine. Foam insulated core on the decorator, between you and I, has no value whatsoever. Gives the impression like you're gonna get a little bit more insulation, but you got metal all the way around it, has no value. It's nothing more than a sales tool. Deluxe series, we got that kick plate down here at the bottom. This is replaceable right here, but if you get a reinforced, you never have to worry about it. But these pieces right here, you drill a screw into here, and then you pull them out with vice grips, and then this thing comes out, and then you pound in the new ones with a rubber mallet. It's not difficult to do. We go there. Finishes, all match the finishes on the entry doors. There is some difference though, and I say they match, and they do. They're the same exact paint code. Two different types of paint. On the storm doors, we're using a Polycron 3. It's PPG, Polycron 3. And the Polycron, you can spray it on. I can leave it on for 3 years and it'll still be wet. Until I bake it at 400 degrees, it doesn't get cured. Now on the storm doors, the paint has a lifetime warranty because of that Polycron. Heck of a product. Still nothing against fading, but it's got a lifetime warranty, chipping, peeling, flaking, whatever.
Similar process is applied to a vehicle, correct?
Like a powder coating?
No, it's a look, not on the vehicles. The vehicles have a catalyst hardener in them. They will use a little bit of heat to accelerate the cure, as we do on the entry doors. With what we paint on the entry doors, it's an automotive paint, but we use the heat to help cure it quicker because we need to box it once it's done. They need to get it out on the lot once it's done. They do the same thing. Polycron is a total different paint. It's about as close to powder coating as you can get. It's a heck of a product. And it has to be baked not at 120 degrees, but 450, 420 degrees, right about there. Because it won't cure without it. But once it cures, wow. And when it cures, it's only about a mil thick. Durable as all get out. When you come down to the factory, you'll see we paint these in lineals like we're showing right here. Those are 14 feet long pieces. After they're painted, we stack them up on top of each other. Doesn't even scratch them. Heck of a paint.
Heck of a paint process too, watching it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Up periscope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that you got that dial at the end, the disc. It's circulating at 32,000 RPM, and then it throws the paint out and turns it into a mist, and then you run negative, positive charge through. You watch the paint just float around to the other side. It's really cool. It's really cool. And every paint has a different viscosity, has more pigment, less pigment. So we got a big computer, which we call the Betty Crocker machine, that keeps the recipe for every paint. Because every paint that goes on differently. Took us years to figure that out. We talked about that, all 17 colors, lifetime finish. People replace their entry doors and storm doors for the same reason as they do windows. Energy efficiency, durability, security, and beauty. Same 4 reasons. Questions? Short, hour and a half. No, it was longer than that, but it's 2 hours, right? That's about 2 hours. We didn't start till what, 9:15?
2 hours and 25 minutes.
Yep. Questions for me?
On the deluxe storm door, you said 10. You said something. On the deluxe storm door, you were talking about, you said 10 cents.
I got crazy ones.
I don't know.
It's all recorded, Roy.
It's recorded, but I don't remember what I would, yeah, that would have followed that. Sorry about that. No, it's not recalling.
Last recording will be hour 1, minute 47, second 23.
One thing about this, guys, in home, when you're selling, knowledge is king. The more times we do this, Todd did it one time, I did it this time. Next times will be a little bit shorter. Your rep's name is Bill Hickson that I hired. Bill lives down in the Elkhart area, so he's not that far from you. Bill sold this product as a distributor. He thought he knew it until he come to the factory. It just blew his mind. Like, man, I only know 10% what I need to know.
I sold it for 4 years in Boston. I trained it
Yeah.
for 2 years in Boston, and I still learned stuff when I went to the factory.
Yeah, a little bit each day goes a long way, as Zig Ziglar said. So we want to do this more and more. As we do this more and more, times will go down. I think in the future we'll probably do 45 minutes, half an hour. And where we're going to help you is when you're out there selling it, objection handling, you write down whatever you have, why you lost the sale because this engineer said this or that. Let us help you with that. Okay, that's what you can bring up in these meetings. We want to help you sell and do very well with doors. Now, when I sold doors, I did anywhere from 30. I had 1 month that I had right about 57 doors. I had a project in there too. But I told you earlier, I got 8 kids. They love to eat. So I worked at a garage door company temporarily for about 6 months. And I don't even call it a job. That's why I didn't mention it. But I sold the heck out of doors. And the reason I did is because everybody else that sells windows and siding are scared to death of doors. Years ago, we didn't have the iPad that we have now. And that was all designed. That idea came from Sears, but it was designed by our owner's son, who grew up without even TV. You take away TVs, you read books. That's how he learned. He's never been to college, nothing like that. Everything that you're using inside our online ordering system, Interlink, website, everything, all designed by Brent. Brent is one of the forerunners now. Just talented. I say young guy, he's 40 now. Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing company. You guys gotta get down there on a tour and see it. Because once I went there, and I went there once, I wanted to work for him, and I did. So.
Everybody have the app downloaded, the Provia app?
Can you give me that login again? Because mine doesn't seem to work right.
The what?
The login for Provia.
Login is your first name, last name, space between the two. And your password is RBA123, I think. Is that right, guys? I think it's pretty simple. If you ain't got it, if you don't have it, email Matt Gardner, who is our Provia training go-to guy.
Any questions on the app, by the way?
Maybe more for Jonathan. I feel good using the app. I think most of us are fairly comfortable, but getting that info to our R suite to actually process.
Interlink, yeah, Matt's got training on all that.
Okay.
I know how I do it, but I'm not sure what Matt has planned for you guys to do it. So we'll see what that is and see if it's as easy as my
We're
way.
just chopping at the bit.
Yeah, and we're starting March first, correct?
March 1st, day 1, you can sell doors.
So Matt,
Cause I do have the app open if anybody has
yeah,
questions.
yeah, actually, I missed out on the last hour or so of the last training.
Yeah,
So I don't have a lot of experience with that. I don't know if they built projects
Yeah.
at all.